8 months ago, we became roommates, a single mom of 2 and a tetraplegic, and it's been a ride. Literally. WheelLife605's Roommate Realities.
Welcome to WheelLife605's Roommate Realities. I'm Ty.
And I'm Shelby.
And we're going to talk about stuff. What do we talk about first, Shelby?
We're going to talk about the realities of being roommates.
Yeah, that's why it's called Roommate Realities.
What are we talking about, Ty?
Go ahead and pull out your phone for our agenda for episode 1.
Episode 1, introduction. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to introduce the hosts, like who we are, how we became friends, and how we became...
I didn't really hear you there.
My bad.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
Whoa, language.
Who said this was family friendly?
This is going to be rated R.
Probably.
Oh, goodness. I got to put the little click the box on YouTube when I upload them then?
Probably.
So that way people don't
Dude,
assume it's for children.
I swear like a sailor. I'm going to say the F word. It's fine.
Okay.
More than likely.
Well, who should go? How about you introduce yourself first? And then I will follow up. You nervous?
Feel this.
You're sweating. You're sweating bad.
I know. That's why I was like, oh, now I'm nervous.
This is your video thing. However you want to do it.
I know.
Whatever you want to talk about.
See, I told you.
Who is Shelby?
No, that's a whole different podcast that already is created.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, that'd probably be. You're the star of the show, so.
I wouldn't go that far.
Hello.
My name is Ty. I was in a motorcycle accident in October of 2023, so it's been a little over a year since the motorcycle accident took place. I was a jack-of-all-trades kind of guy. I did some nonprofit work, volunteer work. I also taught motorcycle safety, funny enough. And, I've just kind of been everywhere. Did some work in HR, all this and that. Was a bit of a gym guy, gym rat of a type. I spent a lot of, actually almost every day going to the gym. And I pretty much was a motorcycle guy. I rode my motorcycle everywhere. Had a KTM Super Adventure. So KTM Super Adventure, which is an awesome bike until I totaled it. What had happened was, and I'll show a little clip of that over that right here. So I lost control of the motorcycle. I slid, and the corners here in Sioux Falls, where I am and where I'm from, they were lined with these quartzite rocks, which were huge and very hard. So I ended up smashing into that, smashing my motorcycle, and breaking my spine in 2 places. Both my T10 and my C7 were injured, which made me technically a tetraplegic because all 4 of my limbs were affected. I have some more control with my right arm now. My left hand is coming back, but the hand is questionable at best. And I have no feeling or movement, technically an Asia A score, as they say, but I have no feeling and very limited movement from about mid-chest down. So about right there down, not a whole lot of movement besides random spasms. And so I spent about almost a year in rehabs, so probably 9 months in rehabs, down in Lincoln, Nebraska. I was at Madonna, and then I went to QLI in Omaha, which is a wonderful, fantastic place. I can't speak any more highly of QLI. They're amazing, sweet people, wonderful people, awesome PTs, awesome OTs, awesome life-like experience. They kind of have a good transition place, but I'll talk more about that, I'm sure, on a different episode. And I ended up wanting to come back home, and move back home, and that's me.
I'm Shelby. I am a single mom of 2. I have an 8-year-old 9-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. I'm originally from Mitchell, which is like about an hour away from Sioux Falls. I was going to school in Sioux Falls. I was driving back and forth, and just this last year moved to Sioux Falls, just to be closer to school and more experiences, all that kind of fun stuff. I don't have much of a story outside of that. I don't have there's lots of big life events that happened in my life, but nothing. I moved to Sioux Falls. That's why we're here.
Roommate realities.
Roommate realities.
There you go. Well, I'm guessing you want to talk a little bit about how we became roommates.
Yeah, that would be a good introduction.
You can pull up your notes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
All right, go for it.
Did you want to talk, or did you want me to talk about?
No, go for it.
About how we met and how we became friends and how we became roommates. And
oh yeah, well, I knew Shelby before the accident. We had met each other through the Leaders of Tomorrow group. We would have coffees on Friday mornings. We would hang out and chit chat and be friends from there. Shelby and I connected at the Culture Con.
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
And then it was let's grab some coffees, let's grab some lunch, and talk about life in the professional world and how to be a leader of tomorrow. That's attempted air quotes with my, there you go, leader of tomorrow. And we continued to connect through that, and we stayed friends, I guess, until the accident. And then from there, you were just like, oh, I think I'll stay friends with this guy.
I mean, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, my brain wasn't in the right place. I had a pretty scrambled head. I had a traumatic brain injury to my left temporal, I believe. So my first month after the accident, October to November, I had pretty fuzzy memories, and my brain wasn't all there. I couldn't really think straight or talk normal. I could talk normal, but I just it was like being drunk, I guess is the best way to explain it. Like you're super duper blackout drunk and you kind of remember flashbulbs of things, but there's also things that happened you don't remember. So that was probably my first month. But you decided to stay friends with me with my other friends.
Your other friends helped.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a bold move, Cotton.
It was. I kind of adopted all of your friends as my friends. I was like, well, if I'm going to move to this city, I might as well be friends with these people.
Yeah, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have any friends.
I wouldn't have any friends.
Yeah,
Zero.
It's all my fault.
Zero friends. No, that's a lie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I think what kind of solidified our friendship was me coming and visiting you, because I would go with other people from LOT and we would carpool and come visit you. And then there was a couple times I came down and visited you at QLI by myself.
Because you were bored.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I
don't have my kids every other weekend, so what am I supposed to do with my life? Oh, there's an adventure I could go on. Let's go. So
I see how it is.
Yeah, basically.
That was just a waste of time.
Wow, that sounds so harsh.
Well, you were wasting time. You're like, oh, I want to waste some time.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems right. And that's kind of what started the whole roommate conversation, because I remember the first time I visited you by myself, I was like, so when are you busting out of this place? When are you coming home? Whatever. And you were like, somewhere between April and July. And I was like, well, shit, that's when my lease is up, is in June. That's when I'm moving to Sioux Falls or whatever. And you very jokingly said, well, we should be roommates. And I was like, you did. Yes, you did. And I was like, I remember my initial response was, I have children, right? I know you've only seen me without my children, but I do have them. They are included.
I don't remember this at all.
You could ask your brother AJ. He was there.
Yeah, I don't remember it. No.
Because your next response was, well, I'm good with kids, right? And you looked up at AJ and he's like, I guess.
All right, that's fair. It sounds about right. The story tracks. There's accuracy to that.
Yep. So that's how that conversation started.
Yeah.
Very much a joke.
Well, in my defense, not that I'm defending myself here, but My thought at the time was the realization that I wouldn't be to a point of full independence. I had worked my way from being in a power chair, so I was in a electric power chair, mostly because I couldn't really move my left arm, to the point of being able to push around a manual chair, which is what I'm in now. So I have the strength and ability in the left arm and the left side to do a manual chair. The beauty to that is it gave me a little more mobility. The downfall to that is, well, actually there was really no downfall compared to the power chair in my opinion, but I was far enough away from independence that I knew I was going to need some help, and I'm so I'm single guy, no kids, no post-divorce. I was just on solo. So, and my parents, I have, my mom doesn't live in the state. My dad was working through some things with his business, is busy all the time at work. My siblings, they both have full families. So it was just me. And so I was coming to the realization that living independently and doing things on my own would be pretty much impossible. So I would need to figure something out to live at home. And I didn't really know about all the programs and things. So really, I just wanted to be home. I was sick of being in rehab and in trainings and in all this kind of stuff, which hindsight, I probably should have stayed a little longer, but hindsight 2020. Anyway, that's when I made the realization of it would be nice to have somebody, a friend nearby, friend or family or somebody I could call, or at least it'd be nice to have somebody at home to say, all right, I fell, help me, rather than having to call a paramedic or something to come pick me up off the floor. So I probably jokingly said it to Shelby, and she just took it so seriously. And she was just like, no. Oh, of course, immediately. She jumped on it.
Absolutely not.
She was like, "Oh, we cool, yeah."
No.
She saw the parking as like a.
I did see the premium parking.
There it is, premium parking.
I was like, "Let's go."
There you go. So premium parking and split the rent.
Yeah, I saw split the rent. I was like, actually, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Win-win.
Yeah. Then I was telling my friends about this. I'm like, am I crazy? Is this crazy? Is this a good idea? Is this not a good idea? Like, I got to look for a place to live. Like, do I look for, like, are you serious? So then I called you and I was like, how serious are you about this joking proposition? Because I'm currently looking for places to live, and if they need to be wheelchair accessible, I need to know. Basically is where, because I took like a couple weeks before I was like, was he serious? Kind of thing.
Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't.
We'll never know. And then you're like, no, yeah. And then you gave me that whole rundown of like, it would be nice to have somebody to live with. A conversation, and I was like, yeah, actually. And then again, splitting the rent sounded like a good idea. And then I was telling one of my friends that you were serious about it, and she was like, you could get paid for that, right? And I was like, wait, what? This is a thing? Like, wheeling your... I was going to say ass, and then I was like, don't say ass, and then I paused.
You said ass anyway?
And then I did say ass anyways.
See, now I have to mark this parental advisory.
Because I said ass?
Yeah.
Instead of booty?
Yeah, I think so. Either way, it's fine. See, you can't say that either. That's okay. I'm just posting it on YouTube, and I'll put, you got to be 18 or older, but then we're good. And we're not marketing anything to children, so I think we're all right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember the call and the conversation, and I think you had said something, I think you brought it up, and part of me was like, well, I mean, if you can, if it's possible, if you can find something, let's look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was like, oh, for sure, hey, this is going to happen, let's do this. It was more like well, if things happen to fall into that wheelhouse, heck yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Coincidentally, they did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell us that story. Unless you have more notes in your note you want to go
What
over.
part of that story? Of finding the terrible apartment that wasn't actually wheelchair friendly?
Go ahead. There's a
whole
whole story. See,
That's a whole other podcast
you were
episode.
like, oh man, are we gonna have to go through? Yeah, we can make that the whole podcast episode. How about just the adventure of trying to find a place?
I was on the phone for like hours with different people. I called, I think, more than 10 places looking for a wheelchair accessible thing, and everybody's like, we don't have any availability. We don't have something that's wheelchair accessible. And eventually I wound up with the lady who was in charge of this, and she seemed extremely helpful and gave me all sorts of different places to call and programs to hear of and all sorts of things. She's, like I said, seemed very helpful until we got put in our first apartment. But again, that'll be a whole nother podcast episode.
Oh, you want to make that like episode 2?
No, probably not. But that'll be another one.
Fair enough. So we started the balls rolling into the apartment of living together, and Shelby started looking for places to potentially live. And I think that's when we messaged and we were like, well, if we could make this work, how would we do it? Right?
Yes.
Is that when we came up with
Came up with what? I'm confused.
the terms?
Oh, the terms and conditions?
Yeah, that
Oh,
was part of what you want to talk
that
about
was-
today?
No, it actually wasn't. That's
Oh.
that's episode 2.
Oh, okay.
Is our roommate agreement.
Well, heck, we came up with a roommate agreement. We'll have to talk about that on the next
Our
episode.
T&C.
Well, what do you want to talk about in this one?
The next part was talking about how it was going to be a win-win for both of us. Like, I get paid, you get drove around places.
Oh, yeah. No, it's totally a big win-win. We got a lot of story to tell.
I cook you food. You teach me how to play video games.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you know how to use both joysticks on the controller.
I do.
It takes two. It's a really fun game.
The other notes I had on this for this episode was to talk about what this podcast was going to include, which we kind of already like sprinkled, be like, oh, this is...
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the adventures to through the apartment, that whole debacle. We can talk about the terms and conditions. We can talk about the PT and OT visits and like scheduling those. Talk about your kids,
what it's like
and
co-parenting
with kids that aren't my kids, and I have not my kids, not my problem kind of principle.
Yeah, sure.
We can talk about getting in and out of vehicles, the power chair, the manual chair stuff, figuring out the wheelchair in the first place, that whole debacle, the apartment, I probably said that already, but the having to kerfuffles with the apartment, and figuring out work for me, that's been a whole thing. You driving places, figuring
balancing
out
our
bills
schedules,
and
like
rents
my
and
school schedule versus your PTOT schedules.
yeah, med stuff that I've been doing, all sorts of medications. And then the surgery that I had.
I also have screen time bets on here.
Screen time bets. Oh yeah, the CultureCon speech. We meet at a CultureCon, and then I give a speech at a CultureCon.
A whole year later.
A win-win.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
All right.
I said something about our interabled roommate perspectives, because like I come with a different perspective than you do in this wheelchair world, in this disability world.
Oh yeah, and then the practice sessions that you had in my wheelchair. Yeah.
In the terrible apartment.
Yeah. It's just frustrating. I'm
So frustrating.
Man. If you follow me on TikTok, you'll see that. Instagram or TikTok. I'll put the links in my profile or something. You can check those out. It's pretty funny.
Ooh, and we can talk about our personal growth, what we've learned through the process of living together.
Nothing. I've
Zero.
learned nothing.
Zero things.
Haven't figured out anything.
That seems right.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff, but on the spot, I'm thinking of things.
Are you kidding? We created a whole like bed and bath time structure. Like,
Oh yeah, dude, that's totally a good thing. Yeah.
we put our brains together,
The
dude.
lights. The blue means bad.
Red means bed.
Yeah, that's such a good deal.
We've learned to navigate meal planning, what that looks like, what works for us in meal planning versus like the different apps that we used and like all sorts of fun. I mean, I don't know if you could, can I call them a life hack, or are you going to tell me it can't be a life hack?
It can't be a life hack.
Life tips. Like here's where we messed up. Ooh, also our communication. I feel like we do very well in communication, and I figure that could be a whole episode on how we navigate. I don't know. We just talk about everything. So
Yeah, I mean,
nothing's off the table at this point.
let's have it. Let's have the conversations. We'll talk about it in an episode. We just have fun. Because that's really what this blog, I guess, this podcast is about, is navigating this space with me being tetraplegic, me being handicapped, and you being single mom with kids, and how we made that work. And my belief is that either if somebody who is a caregiver or working with a caregiver or somebody in my situation or your situation can hear some of the stories we tell and some of the ways we've navigated things, hopefully they can be helpful, and help them navigate it, help them figure it all out. So, yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, that was my whole idea behind this podcast too. So,
Yeah. For those of you that are curious, I handle the hardware stuff and the editing and posting, and Shelby is supposed to come up with the scripts. But then she looks at me and says, "I'm nervous. I don't know what to talk about. I don't want to talk into the microphone."
But then you also...
And then she talks over here, and then she comes back.
But then you...
Got your phone?
I feel like there's going to be a lot of personal growth in the podcasting world for me.
There you go.
You're a little more seasoned in the podcasting
I mean,
world.
that's true. If you want to know more about Shelby, go to the Collective Curiosity podcast. I'll put a link to that. That's a podcast I do with my buddy Nate, the Boscal John.
Nice.
And
I didn't even realize you were wearing your Boscal John shirt. Nice.
It's a good day for the Boscal John. But yeah, check out that podcast we do, which we haven't done in a while, and that's partially on me, but I'm not as active as I used to be. I'm not like going to all the events like I used to. So meeting new people and having them be on the podcast is exponentially harder.
That's true.
So, but I suppose I could ask some of the folks we met at the Elite Mindset and the
Elite Mindset.
Well, we did. I did. I had Megan on, and we had
Yeah, and you had Milks on.
Yeah.
Both Milks.
Yeah.
You could ask people from the influencer retreat.
Yeah, I suppose I could. You'd want that, wouldn't you?
No. At this point, no.
That'd be fun.
I'd be
Bring them over. Bring them all over.
all the boys. It was just
You and a bunch of boys.
me and a bunch of boys. That's another perspective that I'm getting rolled into here is me and a bunch of boys, because I was an honorary bro at Kibby's wedding.
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
That was a good time.
And I am from a family of brothers, so I only have brothers.
So again, I just keep getting rolled into bros.
But it's gonna be good. So, any final words, any send-offs you want for the folks at home? Final thoughts? No final thoughts?
I don't think I have any final thoughts.
Well, if anybody's watching this and enjoying it at all, or listening to it in the background, feel free to leave a comment with a question or a thought. Sure, and we'll explore it. We can talk about it. I mean, we're pretty much just living life here. And then if you want to follow me on TikTok or Instagrams.
I'm usually behind the scenes of your Instagram.
You are behind the scenes on the Instagram. That makes it handy.
More than you are.
Makes it easier for me. Feel free to do that. And yeah, sit back, relax. Feel free to listen into the story. Otherwise, I mean, this could also just be for us to be watching way later, Shelby.
I think that would be...
I'm not too worried about it.
Super fun.
But yeah, feel free to leave any comments. All right. WheelLife605's Roommate Realities.
We need the floppy handshake. You're on the
Yeah,
wrong
but
side.
I'm not on the floppy hand side.
We can't. It doesn't work.
It doesn't really work as good.
See, now I'm nervous.
Welcome people to the show, Shelby.
I don't know what to say. I wasn't prepared.